Okay, so I put all our drawings in a folder. Here we go. And I'm just going to select one of them. Let's see. They're all great. I'll just pick one of them. This one's good. Okay, so I'm going to right click. I'm going to download it. I'm going to open it with Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop. And now I'm going to enlarge it. So I will, here we go. Grab the magnifying glass and put it to plus, and I'm going to enlarge it. And then I'm going to do select color range. And I'm going to use my eyedropper to pick the black, and I'll slide this until I can see all the black lines. So now I'm going to do select, modify, and expand. And I'm going to expand the selection by 1 pixel. And then I'm going to do edit, fill, and there's a drop down menu. You're going to pick black. Okay, so that's going to make the lines all pure black and a little thicker than they were before. So now I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to make the whole thing smaller. So I'm still on the magnifying glass. I'm just going to hit minus and make it smaller. Okay, now I'm going to do image adjustments, and I want to go to brightness and contrast. And I'm going to push all the contrast all the way to here, and I'm also going to make the whole thing a little bit brighter. Okay. So I'm looking at the P in Panther, and it looks a little bit spotty. So I'm going to just zoom in on that, and I want to fill this in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's called the quick selection tool. It might be hidden under the magic wand or another one of the selection tools. It's the 4th tool down from the top, and if you click on this little triangle at the corner, you will see hidden tools. So I want the quick selection tool. Now there's a plus for adding to the selection and a minus for subtracting to the selection. So I want the plus for adding, and I'm going to click on my P, but I want to subtract the inside here. So I'll just hit the minus, and I've now subtracted the inside. So I just have the P selected. You can tell what is selected by looking at the little crawling ants. So I've got the P selected, and now I'm going to do edit, fill, and again, black. So now the P is a solid black. Okay, so my next step is I just need to go to the magnifying glass, go to minus, and make the whole thing smaller. I need to deselect the P, and now I'm going to look at this. So again, I want to get rid of this background. So I'm going to select the black again. So I'll do select color range. I'm going to select the black again, and then I'm going to do select inverse. And that's going to get rid of anything that's not black. Okay, so let me go here to the layer menu, and it says background. I need to unlock it. So now it says layer 0, and I'm going to just go on my keyboard and hit the delete key, and it's going to delete everything except the black lines. That's what I want. So I'm going to now do select deselect, and I'm going to make everything smaller by using the magnifying glass again. Okay. So now I just have this black line design. Okay, now I'm going to save this with just the black lines. So I'll just do File, save as, save on your computer, and I'm going to save it as Panther Perk. And I'll just put black line. Okay. So now I've got this saved in my computer with just the black lines. Now I'm going to add another layer. So I go up here, layer, new, layer, and I'm going to drag that layer underneath the black lines. Okay. And then I'm going to do edit, fill, and I want to fill it with white. Okay. So now I have a black line and a white background. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the top layer, and I want to make the cup red. So I'm going to use my magic wand tool, which if you go 1, 2, 3, 4 tools down, and you click on the corner, you'll be able to reveal, instead of quick selection tool, I'm going to click magic wand tool. So I'm going to grab the magic wand tool, and I'm going to just click the inside of the cup, and then I'm going to do select, modify, and I'm going to expand it by 1 pixel. And now I'm going to switch from the layer that the cup is in to the layer that the white is in. So the same thing is still selected, but it's underneath the black line layer. Okay, so if I were to hide the black line layer, you would see the crawling ants on this bottom layer. So now I'm going to go to the foreground color. So I click on this little black square, and I'm going to find some nice red. Okay, and then I'm going to do edit, fill, and I'm going to pick foreground color. So now if I put I'm going to do select deselect. I'm going to get rid of the crawling ants, and then I'm going to put the lines back on top again. So I have one layer with just the color and another layer with just the lines. Now my next step is I need to do some shading. So I'm still in this bottom layer. What I want is a tool called the burn tool. So if I click here on these 3 dots, my apologies. Okay, if I click on these, if I click on the 3 dots here, I can find all the hidden tools, and the tool I want is the burn tool. Now the burn tool is like any other brush in that I can decide how hard or soft it is. In this case, I don't want any hardness. I want it to be very soft, and I can decide how big or small it is. So in this case, I want a rather wide brush. Okay, pretty wide, and I want it to have a soft edge. So there we go. And now I'm going to go around the edge of my red with the burn tool. Now, if you use it and it doesn't seem to make any difference, look at the range. So it says midtones. I'm going to click shadows, and I'm going to use the burn tool. If it doesn't make any difference, I'm going to change the exposure. So it says exposure 50%. What happens if I put it at 100%? So I pick shadows. What if I pick midtones? What if I pick highlights? There we go. So you see how it makes the red underneath it darker. So I'm going to just use some curved lines, some curved brush strokes. And if you use the drawing tablet, your drawing can be pressure sensitive, which means that the harder you press, the darker the burn and the wider the mark. So if I press lightly, it'll be not quite as dark, and if I press lightly, it'll be lighter. If I press hard, it'll be darker. So see, I'm curving it to create these shadows. And the nice thing is, because I'm not drawing on it, I don't have to worry about going outside the lines. It's just taking the red and making it darker. So that's the burn tool. I'm just going to start at the edge on the other side, and I'm going to lift my stylus slightly so it sort of fades out. And there we go. Now the opposite of the burn tool is a tool called the dodge tool. So it should usually be hidden under the burn tool. If I just click on the little triangle in the corner, I can find the dodge tool, which looks a little bit like a lollipop. Now the dodge tool again can be adjusted like any other tool. In this case, I want it to have 100% hardness, and I want it to be a little bit smaller because I'm going to make some highlights or reflections. So again, it says shadows. It says the exposure is 100%. I don't know what it's going to look like, but if it doesn't work, I can adjust that. So it says shadows. I'm going to go to midtones. There we go. Now I'm getting some nice reflections and highlights on my cup. It's just making the color underneath it lighter. So I can get almost a 3D look to this. It's bleaching the color, but it's not erasing. All right, so I've got this nice, very realistic sort of 3D coffee cup. And now I need to do the color inside here. So again, I'm going to go up to the top layer, the layer with the lines. I'm going to use my wand tool, my magic wand. I'm going to select this area. And now I also have to select another area down here. But when I go to select this area, it deselects that area. So what do? I'm going to hold the Shift key, and if I hold the Shift key on the keyboard, I can select multiple areas, and everywhere I select will be added to the selection. Okay, so now I've selected all the areas that I want, and now I'm going to do Select, Modify, Expand. And I'm going to expand the selection by 1 pixel, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom layer. Now, what color do I want? I'm going to go to my foreground color, and I'm going to pick up the darkest shadow area of my cup. Now that's this color, but inside here I want it to be darker. So I'm going to just pull that color down a little bit. So just FYI, any color that you've already used, if you want to select that color again because you need to use that color again, you don't have to guess. You just go to the foreground color and put the eyedropper on top of that color, and you'll get the duplicate of that color. If you want to go a little darker, you just drag it down a little. So now I'm going to do Edit, Fill, and again, foreground color. And I've now got a darker valued cup. So now if I just deselect this and I go, now that's the inside of the cup, and that's on the bottom layer. Again, all the color goes in the bottom layer, the lines go on the top layer. Now if I want to make the shadows a little deeper down here, all I have to do is go to these 3 dots and find my burn tool, and then I can go in here and make that color even darker. All right, so now I can worry about the coffee color. Now coffee is usually a very dark, rich brown. So I'm going to go to my my quick select tool, and not the magic wand, but the quick select tool. I'm going to see if I can work on selecting this area here. So I'm going to use my magnifying glass. I'll hit plus, and I'm zooming in so I can select this area here. So I'm going to take my quick select tool. I'm going to make sure it's on plus, and I'm going to just start going around this area, seeing if I can select it. But unfortunately, I'm down here in the bottom layer. That's not what I want. So I'll do select, deselect. I want to go up to the line layer, and I'm going to try selecting inside here. And you'll notice my selection gets constrained by the lines. Okay, so now I've got this selected. And now let me see if I can add to that selection by selecting inside here. Okay, add to the selection by selecting inside here. Okay, and it looks like there's an area here that's selected, which I don't want. So I'm going to go to minus, and I'll see if I can get rid of that. I don't want this selected, this selected. See, I'm refining my selection, and I don't want this selected here. Okay, so now I just have this area selected. So now I go back to the bottom area, and I'm going to see if I can find a good coffee color. So let's go here to the browns. And I don't know, I'm thinking about maybe coffee with milk. So maybe I'll go with this color. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to do edit fill. Well, actually, no, cancel. I want to do select, modify, and expand. And this time I think I'm going to try expanding it by 2 pixels, see what happens. So I've expanded the modification, I modified the selection by 2 pixels, and I'm in the bottom layer, and then I do edit fill and foreground color. And it does not look like I did a very good job. It looks like I just selected the lines, but not the inside part. So let me see if I can add to my selection. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to see if I can add to my selection. I don't know. Okay, let's go to this bottom area, and let's do edit fill. It's not working. So I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to grab a paintbrush. And let's see, there's my paintbrush. Again, I can adjust the size of my paintbrush, make it hard or soft. And now I can go inside here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do select, reselect, and then select inverse. And let me see if that helps to... No, it's not helping. Select, deselect. Okay. So now, if you have anything you need to color, if you're in the layer below, the good news is that you're not going to mess up any of your lines. So all right, so I did all this coloring, but I didn't mess up any of my my line work. So now I can just grab some white and make my brush a little smaller. I'll grab some of this foreground color and fix this up, and I'll grab some of this color and fix this up. Now I'll grab some of this color okay, and touch up this area right there. And I'll grab some white and touch this area up here. So now I'll grab some of this and I can make a slightly fatter brush size because the shape is less complex. And hand color this. And again, all my coloring is in the layer below. There we go. And there is my perfected, finished Panther Perk logo. Let's just add in a little of this, a little of that. Okay, so now that I'm done, let me just zoom out so I can look at it. Let me use my magnifying glass. I'm going to zoom out. So I like it. It's very nice. It's got the, let me just add a little bit of white up here to smooth out some of the coloring here. There we go. And now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my magic wand and I'm going to click here to get rid of the extra white. And then I'm going to hit the backspace key. And then I'll do select, deselect. And now I have this perfect logo. Well, let me get at the inside of the cup handle. And the only thing is, what I do want is I do want these to be white because it's like the steam coming off of the coffee. So I'll just select those. I use my magic wand and I hit the shift key. Now I'm going to do select, modify, expand. I'll expand it by just 1 pixel. Hit OK. Now I'm going to go back to this bottom layer. I'll do edit, fill, and I'm going to pick white. Select, deselect, and now I have the perfect logo. It has a clear background, so I can put it on any surface and I don't have to worry about like a box being around it. I could even put it on a t-shirt as a logo. I've gotten rid of all the additional white in the background. If there's any white here, I can get rid of that so that it's just the areas I want colored. So now what I'm going to do is File, Export, and I'm going to export it as, and the thing that I pick is PNG. Under Format, if you do PNG and then you click Transparency, and that will preserve the transparency of the file. So what it means is cancel. This area out here is transparent on this file, and it will be transparent on the version that I export. So let me just save this file, save as, save on your computer, and it's Panther Perk, and this is not Black Line, this is Panther Perk finished. Okay, save it, hit OK, and then you're going to do File, Export, Export as, and you want to make sure that you have saved it with transparency. And you've saved it under the format PNG, which will preserve the transparency. And then you hit export. Panther Perk Black Line. No, I want it to be called Panther Perk Finished. Okay. Save. And now if I were to open it, File, Open, and I click on Panther Perk Finished, you will see that it is all in one layer and that there is no background color, and that is the complete logo. You can give that to a printer and they'll print it. You can send it to a company to put on a t-shirt. You can print the logo out and put it on the side of a coffee cart or on a sign, and you don't have to worry about any pesky box or lines around the outside because you've deleted all that. And it's got this very clean color. I'm looking here and I just want to add a few more highlights. So I'm going to go and get my paintbrush, and I've got some white. And what I'm going to do is I'll take my paintbrush, okay, and I'm going to change the opacity. I'm going to make it maybe 20% or 30%. Make it 30% opaque. So it's going to be a very light kind of dusting of just to make a highlight, but I don't want it to color it in white. I just want to put a little bit of light color on top of it. Okay, that lets the color shine through, and that'll give me a little bit of a highlight. A little bit of reflection. If you don't like something or you mess up, you do Command Z, and that will delete what you did. So if you're worried about overdoing it, you can just do Command Z and get rid of anything that's not working out for you. Okay, I think this is fine. I think I got everything I wanted out of this. Just put another little reflection here. And now, again, Panther, Perk, Black, I call it File, Save As, Panther, Perk. I don't know where the word black comes in. Panther, Perk, Finished. And again, it's a PNG, which stands for Portable Network Graphic, which is the format that you want. You hit save. There we go. And there's my finished portable network graphic. Okay, so the format that you want is always going to be, when you finally export it and save it, is PNG, which stands for Portable Network Graphic, which is the format that can be used for logos. And that is the end of this tutorial.